the below average one at that because reminder, we are not professional bettors. We are not here to give you betting advice. We're actually here to tell you what not to do.
Oh.
Everything we put on here, we're like, yeah, fade us, bitch, do it. um, so,
We got a big one this week too.
by the way, odds come from DraftKings Sportsbook per usual.
Shout
We're
out.
recording this on Wednesday, so these odds should not change too much. But we got a nice little list here. So, Dominic, I think how we'll do this is we'll just go from the top down. I think that's the way we'll do this. And
Yeah, singles to parlays. Let's do it.
yeah, so we're starting with Andre Fiallo money line, which is 2.5 units on this. That's because me and Dom are both putting money on this one. Dominic putting a unit on all of his, so any of these
Yep.
0.5s, these nasty little decimals on there, that's because of me. So 2.5 units. I put a unit and a half on this one. I'm testing out unit sizes, people, so we'll see what happens. But minus 145, Andre Fiallo. I like Jake Matthews, like I said. But Fiallo, he's 2-1 this year. He's riding a wave of momentum. I get it. Like I kind of made fun of Dom for saying, "Well, he's the biggest story this year." I mean, come on, this ain't Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. It's Andre Fiallo, Dom. But
Right.
I
right.
mean, it's I forgive Dom because he lives in his bubble out there. In
True.
Colorado,
Very
so-
small.
but he is 2-1 this year, and there is a lot of excitement about him. If you're a true fan that's really invested, like we are, his last fight was in May, literally last month.
Yeah.
While Jake Matthews last fought in March of 2021
Yeah.
in a losing effort, and it was to Sean Brady. Yes, I know Sean Brady, very good fighter. I think that I could still see Jake Matthews, eventually one day being a ranked fighter in this division, being a very competitive fighter in this division. I just think Fiallo, I'm going with the momentum. I'm going with the guy that not only is the people who matter behind, like Dana White, but the fans seem to be behind him too, and he's just very confident in his capabilities. I'm riding with him, and I'm sure Dominic, you feel very similar there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a copy and paste, right? It is that momentum, and that's what a lot of people are liking, us two included. I just think the power's there. He's a finisher. The only thing, right, can he fend off the takedowns? And if he gets down, what can we see? Because we haven't seen him get tested there. But if he can pass, I think he has more pass to victory. I'll put it that way in this
The
fight.
only concern is that Jake Matthews is big for
He's
this weight
big.
class.
Jake Matthews is big.
So, and Andre Fiallo, not necessarily like the biggest guy in the division. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Now, next one, 2 units on Jack Della Maddalena. That's right, me and Dom both putting a unit down on him. He is minus 160 as it stands in his matchup with how's his first name?
Ramazan.
MEF. So my reasoning for this, if you want to go into the statistics here, Jack has won 11 fights in a row. He's 11-2, so that tells you kind of how his career started and how it's going. It's going very well.
Yeah.
Won 11 fights in a row. He's 1-0 in the UFC. He does have that win on the Contender Series. One of the best fights ever in the Contender Series. An absolute war between him and Anglosa. While Emiev has been more quiet about his career, he is much more experienced. He's 5-2 in the UFC, which is definitely a solid record. I will say for Emiev, he's coming off a loss. He's, to me, it's the game of momentum here, Dom. I'm backing our guy Jack because I think the company is behind this guy. They're putting him in the opener of the pay-per-view. I think that he's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of fan support behind him. I think this is a big moment for him for sure. It's kind of what you said, sink or swim. I'll even say it's a bit of a crossroads fight here because I think a win here could send him to the moon.
Yep.
As you, Jack, you mean.
I see what you did there.
But also a loss could maybe he'll never recover from that. Maybe he'll never be able to build back that kind of hype that maybe was once there. I like him to do it here, and I think it's going to be quite the showcase, even against a good opponent.
Copy and paste. No more said from me.
All right. Well, I'll let you take over for the next one so I can take a break. No, I'm just kidding. But you got a couple here, Dom, moneyline plays. Tell the people what's up.
Yeah, no, a Joanna champion, as she is also called, is back. We've already talked about it earlier on in the show. If you're watching this standalone on Friday, go back and check out our full breakdown of the fight from our podcast episode on Thursday. If you're listening to the podcast, and obviously you've already heard it, but Joanna's back, and I talked about it. I was a little surprised at how much value you can get on a former champion with 6 title defenses that barely lost to Zhang Weili in their first fight at plus 145. Noah, I'm saying that I'm willing to take the risk, but it doesn't feel like all too much of a risk to me. I think this is a winnable fight for Joanna. I think should she win this, she is on the right track to even get that title back. I'm riding with the former queen. I think it's going to be a great fight regardless of who wins. But again, at plus 145, I was all over it from the first day I saw it like 3 weeks ago, and it stuck with it now at plus 145. Oh, yeah, the next one's me too. Sorry. So this one is a little bit more risky, but I'm here for all the violence, baby. So Liang Na money line plus 130. She's 0-1 in the UFC. She's taken on Silvana Gomez Juarez, who is 0-2 in the UFC. I love that I'm putting money down twice on 2 fighters that are 0-3 combined in the UFC.
Boy. Well, thank God someone's got to win here. I would assume.
Yes. Right. Unless there's a draw, then I'll be pissed.
Oh.
Anyways, so my method here, or the method to my madness, Liang Na at plus 130. She is a very kill or be killed, another type of fighter. A few of those types of fighters on
very
this card.
aggressive.
Very aggressive, very fast paced. She's only like, I think 20, she's 20 something. Gomez Juarez is 37. So a big age difference here. And the biggest kicker, Liang Na starts very quick. Juarez does not. And she's lost 2 times in a row via first round submission. Liang Na has a lot of submission wins, double-digit submission wins in her career. I think if she gets it done, I think she gets it done early. That plays into the parlay that I'm going to talk about later. But I think she gets her first UFC win. She maybe sends Gomez Juarez away from the UFC to her detriment, but I think the Asian gets it done here at plus 130 money line.
All right. Hand me the baton, Dom. I'm putting 1.5 on Yuri Prochazka by KO, TKO, or DQ. You know, never know.
Never know.
But, yeah, so definitely I'm picking sides here in the main event. I actually think I'm treating Glover's chances with more respect than a lot of people are. I think a lot of people think this main event result is kind of an inevitability. It's the same song and dance we've done with Glover for 5 years now?
Yep.
Every time this guy is in a fight, in a main event, in a big fight, whatever it might be, people go, oh, he's going to get knocked the fuck out by whoever he's fighting. And usually that's not what happens. I mean, it started the Anthony Smith fight. I mean, look at what he did to our boy.
Yeah.
Knocking his teeth out. Oh, my God. I mean, he had Jason Herzog questioning his life choices. I mean, it was crazy.
Yes, he did.
You look at what he did to the Polish Power. He neutralized it.
Yep.
Who neutralizes the Polish Power? I mean, it was just crazy. So I'm done disrespecting Glover Teixeira. I'm done overlooking him.
Kind of.
Except I really like Yuri Prochazka. And it's for the kind of same factors that I could see being a reason why he loses this fight, which is why it's such a dilemma, right? Yuri Prochazka is so unpredictable, so wild, but so fluid in the cage. He really, I got to give him credit for a lot of the mumbo jumbo that he speaks when he's talking about being a modern day samurai and everything's energy, right? Everything
Screaming at trees.
I was reading something about today. He's not a religion guy, but he believes that there's energy and faith and blah blah. Mm-hmm. Blah. I don't know. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, this is interesting. You're kind of crazy, but that's cool. I fuck with it. But he fights very much like how he speaks. Like he fights with, it's almost like the wind is just kind of moving him through the cage. Like he's always one step ahead. It seems like you look at the Dominic Reyes fight. He got flash KO'd, but look at the finishing sequence, or even against Volkan Oezdemir in his debut.
He flows a bit,
He does. He flows through the cage, and really, when you just look at him and Glover and who they are at this point, I really want to say I'm not underestimating Glover, but realistically, Yuri should win this fight because he's the much younger, the much more athletic, has probably the more well intact skill set if you're going about the power and the finesse that he puts behind his strikes. Yes, I do think, even though you're right, Dom, Glover, a high-level boxer, I do think the age has slowed him down a bit. Yes, he's still fighting at a very high level, but kind of to your point at the beginning of the show, those intangibles, I think, are why he's taking another step in his development and become a champion. I think his actual skill set is not as good as maybe it was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But I do think he's still a very smart fighter. It's going to be a dogfight for sure for as long as it lasts. But Yuri, if he's going to do it, damn it, if he gets a fucking submission, he hasn't had a submission since 2014, by the way.
Oh, no.
So 25 of his 28 wins have been via KO, TKO. I mean, come on. If I think there's a better chance that this fight starts, Glover Teixeira walks over to the other side of the cage and punts Yuri Prochazka in the balls, and there's a DQ win on my behalf, then Yuri Prochazka gets like a triangle choke or something. I mean, come on.
Those could be bold last words there.
Famous last words.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now I'm going to continue on. Half unit. Brendan Allen, Jacob Malkoun. I got this fight to go to distance. Now, there might be some people going, Noah, what are you doing? You fucking idiot. Like, look at Brendan Allen's finishing rate. But, guys, I'm telling you, Brendan Allen does. He finished his fights at a very high rate. When I saw the plus 150, I said, I got to take a chance.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm putting a half unit on it because you do have the plus 150. So, like, even though I'm betting less and winning less, I'm still winning roughly what I would get if this was at, like, a minus 130 or something like that, you know. So when I look at this fight, Brendan Allen, only 5 decisions, but 2 of them have been in the UFC.
Yep.
Jacob Malkoun has 4 decisions in 6 fights and back-to-back wins via decision. When you look at Jacob Malkoun's only loss, it was UFC 254, Abu Dhabi, Khabib versus Gaethje. He was on the main card fighting Phil Hawes, an absolute beast of a man.
Yes.
And Phil Hawes, how would I describe what Phil Hawes did to Jacob Malkoun? I would describe, what's that game that kids play where like they hit the ball around the pole back and forth? It's like on a
what
string.
is that game?
Is that tetherball?
Tetherball, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the ball was Jacob Malkoun's face and body, and there was like 10 Phil Hawes around the pole. That's what happened. Phil Hawes tetherballed Jacob Malkoun into the ground in 16 seconds.
It was a tough debut. Yeah.
It was a tough debut, but he's bounced back in a big way, including getting a win over AJ Dobson, a fighter that we had the pleasure of meeting in Columbus, so OH to that. But why I just here's really my point. Phil Hawes. What does Phil Hawes really have? Why did he get that fight over in 16 seconds? Well, he was super aggressive. He was very, obviously, he's an athletic beast, and he carries one-punch power, and he landed flush. Malkoun a little overwhelmed by the pressure, not ready for it. Brendan Allen does pressure. He does pressure well, but he does not carry that one-punch power like someone like Phil Hawes does.
Yeah.
Because of that, I'm not saying for this fight to go to distance that Malkoun has to win. The wet blanket, the guy who's going to look to grapple. What I do think, though, is that Brendan Allen's going to have a hard time finishing Malkoun because unless you're like a bull running straight at him and throwing fucking fisticuffs at him.
Yeah.
I think he's very shown to be a much smarter defensive fighter than we gave him credit in that debut. And he's much more resilient and able to kind of, even if he's getting hurt on the feet, I think he's going to clinch up very well. He's going to have a strength advantage, I'd even say. And because of that, I do think this fight goes the distance. And at plus 150, I'm willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, to sprinkle half a unit at plus 150, I think that's great odds there. And we both put a unit down on this. Noah, how did you come about wanting to? You switched it up last minute. You're like, you know what? I'm throwing a unit down. Explain to the people the thought process.
Yeah, I got to give credit to Dom for this one because he sent this to me. And I was like, holy shit. Like, the odds on this, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it was minus 175. Be careful with what I say here.
Easy.
Should I? Well, I got to play the vibes game here.
All right.
I would be more shocked at this
Here we go
fight
again.
I would be more shocked at this fight going over 2.5 rounds than I was when Juliana Pena beat Amanda Nunes. I mean, I think when you have these two types of competitors
Yeah.
who both just have such strong strengths but also have some glaring weaknesses, something's got to give. In that first round and that second round, someone's getting knocked the fuck out or someone's getting, well, put to sleep. I mean, just that's what it is. Or someone's getting punted in the balls, if I have anything to say about it.
Right.
But
as long as that happens under 2.5.
Yes. But I mean, Dominic, you again, like I said, Prochazka hasn't been to he doesn't have a submission win since 2014. But I also think that the last time he went to a decision was probably more recent than that. But I mean, it's still it's been a long time. I mean, both his UFC wins have been via vicious knockout. And while Glover Teixeira, probably more decisions on his resume than Yuri, has the most finishes in light heavyweight history. So I just think that the recipe is there for this to be a banger and a fight that doesn't last very long.
Yeah, I 100% agree. At -175, I think that's honestly one of the more comfortable bets on the entire card.
I completely agree. I think it's my personal, if I had to make like a best bet, like a lot of people do, this would be my best bet for this card.
Yeah, it really does feel that way, guys. I mean, if you look at it, you think 2.5 rounds, that's half the fight. Will this fight end before the halfway point of a 5-round championship fight with these two guys, their types of styles? It's just the formula is there, I think, for this to hit. I think that's great value to be at under, at under 2-1. I think it's worth the risk for sure.
Yeah, so nice stuff there. I like that. But we got the parlays up next. And since I'm at the top, I'll go first. So some last second changes with my parlay as well. Literally, I had put in a different parlay today when I was putting these bets in, and I had to go back, refund it my money, and change it. So here's what I originally had. Originally, it was a +108. The first two legs were the same. Weili, Joanna over 1.5 rounds. Valentina money line. But my third leg, I had put Yuri money line.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you might be asking, well, why didn't you put him via KO TKO like you did in your singles? Well, you fucking bitch. Maybe I did that because I'm worried that it would be the one time that he was going to fucking submission win in his career. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to double down on Yuri because I do feel confident in him. But once I saw this Teixeira Prochazka under 2.5 rounds, I said, I love that so much. I said, I'm doing it on the parlay too.
Yeah. And
because the odds are only -175, it gave me better odds on the parlay. So now it's a +118 rather than a +108. I mean, I already talked about the Teixeira Prochazka. Valentina, it's kind of like a safe one, right? It's a boring pick, but don't get me wrong. I think Taylor Santos has more of a chance than a lot of these people that we've seen Valentina fight on her run. But I still think that it's just Valentina's just at such another level right now.
She's so good.
I just have a hard time seeing it. And I guess for that first leg, Weili Joanna, if this was over 2.5, I would not be confident in it. But over 1.5, I do think that there's the chance that someone could get a finish here, which would be very interesting because I think most aren't expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
But I firmly believe we'll see this fight. I think Joanna's going to take a while to get going. And there's a chance Weili takes a while to get going because she's lost 2 in a row. And this is going to be a big match. And I think both women recognize, I don't think they want to go through what they did in the first fight again.
Oh, no.
That's reason one why this fight ain't going to be as good as the first one. Because they're going to be like, I'm going to actually run away from you this time. I'm not going to take those same punches. I don't want to be Megamind. No, thank you. So, over 1.5 rounds, I feel like that's pretty safe. It was like, I think by itself it was -500, that one. So,
really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
But, Dominic, your parlays?
Yeah, so my parlay just ever so slightly out trickles. No, it's +118 for him, +120 for me, but I did go all money line on this one. So I did go with Brendan Allen. Closed in when we got this at -300 for Brendan. I am a bit nervous, right? Because Noah already talked about it, or in the breakdown we already talked about it. Malkoon, when he wins, you know what he does. He gets the takedowns and he holds people down. But in this fight, I don't think Allen, even if he gets taken down, I don't see him staying there, man. Even if it's like round one, chalk it up in the books, I think he can just, adjust mid-fight if that's the case. I think he has more past the victory. I think he can KO. I think he can sub. I think he can get the decision for Noah's sake in that half unit listed above. But I really like Brendan Allen. He's putting it together fight by fight. He's the bigger. There's going to be a really significant size difference in that fight as well. So be on the lookout for that. I love Brendan Allen in that one. I went Manel Cape with the second leg. He minus 225, or no, I'm sorry. He was minus 235 when we put this in. So that lowered the parlay originally from what I had. I think he gets another big win. I think he crashes into the top 10. Bontarine is a tough test. He's well-rounded, good jiu-jitsu. Manel Cape has a 80% takedown defense. I think if Bontarine doesn't get this fight to the ground, it's Cop. I think it's his fight to lose. I think he can win over the course of the distance. I think he can get an early finish. So I like Manel Cape in that one. I'm going back and forth between Cape and Cop. It's actually Cop. The third leg.
I think Cape is better. That's why I keep saying that.
Yeah. Third leg, the Queen, Valentina. Me and Noah both have her on the money line. Listen, she's minus 630. She does help out the parlays a little bit, though, right? I mean, when it's odds like that, that's kind of your only option. Even I was originally going to do her by knockout or decision at minus 400, but she has a few submission wins in the UFC. I'm like, I'm not going to risk it. She's too good. I'm just taking her outright to win. I think she's one of the best fighters again in the UFC right now, one of the best we've ever seen. I think she gets it done. Title defense number 7. And then last but not least, this is a first for the bet slip / nosebleeds originally. This parlay to be determined because the first leg between Liang Na and Silvana Gomez Juarez fight does not go the distance. The odds are not available yet on DraftKings, so we can't place this play yet. But the reasoning behind it, it's pretty simple. Both of these won, first and foremost, again, kill or be killed, reckless abandon, especially on the side of Liang Na, as you heard in my discussion earlier for the single. She's got 24 professional fights. She's went the distance 1 time. Juarez has 14 professional fights. She's went the distance 3 times. All 3 of their combined UFC fights have been finishes in less than 2 full rounds. I think there's violence in this one.
You combine those fights and the decisions, and that's like a 10% decision rate. So.
10% decision rate. You don't see that a lot in women's mixed martial arts, by the way, especially at this weight class. I think that's violence. It's the second fight of the night. We're getting started early. That's violence written all over it. Then I just love this main event because I'm taking under 3.5 rounds for the parlay. It's minus 280. Honestly, that's still pretty great value too, if you ask me. If you want that extra round to get a parlay, minus 280. I'm going to be shocked if it goes more than 2.5. I'll be extremely shocked if that main event goes more than 3.5.
I'll be thrown off the balcony by that point.
Noah's going to be retired.
Dom's holding on for hope in that last round, and I'm like, all right, see you guys.
Yeah, Noah's just done. So I'm loving it. If I had to guess, guys, I do just want to say, again, that's minus 280. I'm thinking from what I'm seeing from a couple people that have talked about the Liang Na and Juarez one, it's going to close around like minus 230, minus 250. So I'd say that parlay, when you put them together, is going to be pretty close to even money. You guys will see, obviously, when our results are in after Saturday night. But that's it. That's the parlay for me there. I love that one. That's the violence parlay. So
dare I say that might have been some of the best betting discussion we've had in our rebranded kind of nosebleed, not nosebleed stuff going on here.
Yeah. Let's just hope they hit it now.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
Listen, the second quarter's been tough, but we got to pull out. We got to get us out of that shit. All right.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you, Dom. I mean, we're cooked, but that's fine. I get it.
No, like them scrambled eggs. No, talking about earlier.
So let's get rid of that graphic because that poster is ugly.
It is a little weird.
We